digging myself a hole here. Hey, everybody, welcome back to episode number 112 of My Cup of Tea. That is too much.
That's a lot. Before we go in live, I was looking at the schedule because I'm going to be busy the week of Christmas and stuff like that. Could this be our last podcast of the 2023?
One can only hope.
Because I'm thinking, because Percy Jackson comes out this week. Everybody, welcome back.
This week?
This week, Wednesday.
How many episodes drop?
First two, I want to say three, but I'm thinking maybe Andor's on the brain because I saw an Andor tweet today. But maybe it's two to three episodes this week. I think it's two. There's 8 or 10 episodes. I think it's 8 episodes. The first two dropped today or this week, and I want to talk about it as soon as possible. But I can't do it this week because I'm going to my parents' house. But next week I might be available. I don't know. So if this isn't the last Hyperspace, if this isn't the last tea, then we'll do one the following week if schedules prevail. To talk about Percy Jackson. But yeah, it's been a crazy year of My Cup of Tea. Been a lovely year. And yeah, a lot of cool topics today, buddy. Jalen and I love pausing the main topic of the day, Godzilla, not Godzilla. I always call it Godzilla, but Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I'm always pausing it because some of these humans be messy, and I love mess. Jalen was getting annoyed by the 1950s trio, and I was loving every second of it because I'm like, these people are messy as hell.
Wait, who's annoying? Which trio's annoying him? The president.
The the 50s. Kay, Lee, and Billy.
Oh, I think they're doing better, less messy than.
I mean, Lee over here sabotaging Monarch because he wants some pussy, or he wants some stuff. You
already said it. You've already demonetized. First Polar Express, now this, which I think was my.
What did we say on Polar Express? I'm shocked.
Not on Polar Express. Please, everybody, go watch that because that was probably our most lively commentary we've ever had.
5 minutes in, we were just riffing. I don't know what I saw that today. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's bullcrap. And I'm like, do I cuss on the street? No, but I'm like, that's bullcrap because I don't remember saying. We were saying some crazy stuff. I remember I don't know if we were saying anything super raunchy, negative.
We might have went a little out of pocket a couple times.
Maybe that was you. Maybe that was you.
Hey.
I put the onus on Nathan.
Hey, you're constantly calling out to do oh, are you sure? That's my review on Letterboxd. Are you sure?
Yeah, maybe I called that kid an asshole too many times. Possibly. Yeah, go watch our Polar Express one because it's a fun movie and it's pretty much like when I think of Christmas movies, that's in my top 5. It's not my favorite, but it's it's up there just for shits and giggles. But anyways, yeah, the Monarch trio, the Monarch stuff has been just such a fun show because again, we talked about it earlier in the season where it's just they finally know how to make interesting, layered characters. And I'm excited to dig in with you to talk about some of these characters' motivations and the motivations of Monarch as a whole, which has been a lingering question I've been having since the inception of the show in terms of what are we getting into with Monarch? What are their ideals and what is their legacy? I've been thinking more about the title of the show, Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I think this episode 6, I think it was, and last week's episode 5, dived into their legacy, the legacy of Monarch. More so this episode than last episode, actually. But either way, and I think the show's trying to talk about that, trying to discuss that. I don't know if I'm digging too deep into it. I always do this with shows. Nathan knows because I'm always talking to him about these shows. But I'm always like, do I just dig too deep into these shows? More so than what the creators are possibly ever thinking? And that's definitely true for the Marvel and Disney shit. Outside of Willow is beautifully complex. Bring back Willow.
Would you call Willow the most complex Lucasfilm show? That or Andor?
That might, yeah. That or Andor. I used to give Loki that cred, but season 2 kind of diminished that for me. But Loki season 1 is very, I don't know. Loki season 1 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of it was built off of like the mystery of it all, more so than like what made it so great. I'm taking a step back. I think Loki season 1 is pretty deep as well, with the Loki and Sylvie relationship and what that meant for Loki. But I think Willow as a whole was a bit more deeper, just with the mythology they were dealing with, the character arcs they were dealing with, and then same for Andor, which was just peak. Dude, that tweet came out today about like Luthen's speech. I'm like, how is this on a Disney show? How? Granted, it's Star Wars. Granted, it's Tony Gilroy. But holy shit, that's like one of the best lines I've heard ever in my life. I'm talking about the Luthen speech for those listening. The Luthen, I gave up my life for a future I cannot see, or something like that.
Share my dreams with ghosts.
That's raw as hell. I share my dream with ghosts. Come on, that's just it's badass. So yeah, pretty good week so far as well. This is my first weekend off break, or starting break. So I'm off from the 15th all the way to January 2nd, where I get to see my lovely kids again.
Oh,
lovely. And
that
then
custody do you?
Exactly. Oh God. And then then second semester starts. Second semester always feels longer because there's like less breaks. Like there's no winter break. There's no like November is filled with breaks, like Thanksgiving break, whatever. The second semester is filled with just like blank spaces and testing and BS, which is always annoying. But yeah, that's my life. But yeah, let's dive into Monarch Legacy of Monsters here. Take a step back, episode 5 here, where we make it back to San Fran.
And we stay in the present.
And we stay in the present. We actually don't see the 50s trio at all, interestingly enough, in last week's episode. It's mostly about May, Kate, and Kentaro. It's funny because there's anime watching the main character is Rentaro. I'm like, Jesus Christ. By the way, guys, this weekend is Jump Festa. There's been a lot of crazy anime announcements. Good stuff. Anyways, we stick with our trio here, and similar to episode 4, where we got a lot of May and Kentaro relationship stuff as they're going through the ice. It was a bit of a freezing episode per se. Now we're in the heat, the sun of San Francisco, and we dive into the character drama of Kate, which I think was a very necessary backstory, and very interesting. I wish we talked about it last week, but we didn't have time.
Yeah.
Or there wasn't that much news to talk about. But like Kate's character, Apple does not fall far from the tree, huh, Nathan? This is
Apple,
interesting.
Apple TV.
Apple TV. Hello, pay us, Apple. Subscribe.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
No free promos. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Kate. So we start off with like, where should I start? What I liked about this was that we get to see more of Kate's trauma fleshed out. Her trauma over G-Day, what's truly been on her mind, because she is a baggaged character per se. There's always something on her mind. I was reading this interview, fascinating interview, with the lead actress who plays Kate. Apparently, she's a main star of, I was going to say Sekiro. Shogun. Next February, Shogun.
Oh, I think, yeah, she is in the trailer.
I totally forgot about that.
That's awesome.
And it was interesting because like the whole interview is about like Monarch and Kate as a character, and the reveal that she was actually cheating on somebody, as I was alluding to. And at the end of the interview, the interviewer asked her from THR, they're like, is there anything you can share with us about Shogun? And she starts tearing up in the interview. Like it's all written, but the interviewer says like, the actress visibly starts tearing up because she's so like proud and excited of what everybody did in Shogun. It was like an emotional, crazy ride. Everybody was trying their hardest. And it's a huge show. So I cannot wait to talk Shogun next year. Because it's one of the most anticipated shows of the year, and it looks freaking great. So if anybody has not seen the Shogun trailer, I really recommend that. Especially now that I know that she's in it. Totally forgot about that. But anyways, yeah. So she's been having some baggage, and we get to learn more about her experience with Jide. And one of the things I never really dug deep into Kate's character was that like all those kids died on her watch. Like we see it happen in episode 1, and I'm kind of like, oh shit, this was a tragic shit. But I never really thought too much about it until it's re-referenced in this episode 5, last week's episode, where we see Jide again. We see all those kids on her watch. We see her teaching. So we get to spend time with the kids, and then just to reflect on all those kids dying. Yeah, I would be feeling like shit too if I was Kate. As a teacher, yeah. But then secondly, she's cheating on her girlfriend, which was a crazy reveal. Crazy reveal. Because the father has been doing some crazy shit with having a split personality, which the actress did admit, like that kind of, if you didn't piece that together, that kind of alludes to why Kate is the way she's acting, or at least was in the past, 2014. She was cheating on her girlfriend because she has issues with commitment because her father's never around. She doesn't feel like, father's never been around. They have these issues of commitment. Even the mother talked about it. Like, yeah, I assumed he was cheating on me. That's why I didn't have the guts to go to Japan to confirm. And then, Kate kind of was kind of pushed by her mom to be the one to basically get the reveal that the father was living a double life. Because if the father's never home, there's only a couple other options a wife can come up with. Like, oh, he's busy doing alien shit. Nobody's thinking that. Which he was, but he was also having a double life, which I'm waiting for the show to talk about that. Like, when they because they're all so concerned about finding this father, by the way, that like we finally see him in this episode, spoiler alert, we see him finally in episode 6. And I'm like, we kind of have to get a scene where he just describes why the hell this even happened in the first place. Why are you living this double life?
As soon as I saw him, I was like, this is a very happy moment. I'm sure I know it's going to get messy later, but like I'm excited for them to revel in the happiness.
Yeah. It's so interesting. It's just so funny being like, it reminded me of Jurassic Park 3, where it's just like, go, stop. Like, what's he doing? He's like,
the guy on the runway.
Yeah, it's like, don't leave, stop the plane. Don't. JP3 Peak. If you want to watch it with us, go watch our podcast where we watched all of the Jurassic Park movies. The first 3 are better than the last 3.
Wow.
Am I right?
Alan.
Yeah. Alan is crazy, but also better than anything that happens in Fallen Kingdom.
I don't want to argue.
Because he knows I'm right. Anyways,
fine. You've called down the thunder, motherfucker. I like Fallen Kingdom. That wasn't a defense. That was a statement of fact.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom at least is better than what was it called?
Dominion.
Dominion.
I knew what it was called. I just didn't want to give you the satisfaction.
Yeah.
I don't hate Dominion either. I don't love it, but I mean,
sure you don't.
Do I like it more than the first Jurassic World?
That's hard. They're not great.
I mean, at that point,
no, I would go World.
I don't know, because I feel like I like where the characters of that trilogy have developed.
True.
Compared to the first one, and also you have the classic characters, and I still think Fallen Kingdom's the best.
Fallen Kingdom might be
best directed.
I don't know. Best directed for sure, visually for sure.
Jay Bayona doing good stuff.
Doing good stuff. Apparently, Jay Bayona's latest film, The Society of the Snow, about the Argentina plane crash. Which is a brutal movie. If you haven't seen the 1990s They did a movie about the Argentine plane crash where they all had to survive on the mountain doing some crazy shit. It's a great movie, but now he made his own version called Society of the Snow, which comes out, I think, Christmas Day or at least early January on Netflix. I heard great things. But yeah, anyways, going back to Monarch. Yeah, so I'm very interested to see what they say to this father character. We only have 2 episodes left. Hopefully, they don't leave us waiting because it has to be. It's one of the lingering themes, not even theme, but it's one of the lingering plot threads of the first season. Like, what's their this notion that they have to get to the father, but also we don't like the father. But it's like we have to get to him because we want answers. So it's like it's very topsy turvy. But I'm very interested for that confrontation.
I think anyway, like their father. They very clearly like are happy that he's alive and they love him. They miss him.
You're right. There's like a emotional reaction when they see him. Like, oh wow, like our efforts have prevailed. We found him, but also every time they get to talk about him, it's like a feeling of hurt, underlying sense of hurt.
Sure. Although
like what happened, especially like last week's episode 5, but they're like, Dad crippled this family basically by making the mom all depressed. Then Kate, it was a lingering thing that caused Kate to cheat, or at least it was part of her. I mean, the onus is still on Kate, of course, but like her father not being there definitely didn't help.
What if I told you, Evan, there are 2 fathers that look identical?
That'd be crazy.
It's a clone. Can you imagine?
His father, Kate's father had a brother, and the brother's actually the one who stays in Japan.
Like, it's like picture, if you will, some random ass monster anomaly shit happens, and sometimes the father where like he falls out and he walks away, goes back to whoever the original family was, and then somehow he got cloned to another person who like didn't have the memories of that family, but he was like taken in with his Monarch crew, and then he started off on this family. That would be an insane description of a sci-fi twist.
I would love it. And you're not fully out of there with the insanity of the sci-fi twist, because last week, I'll get back to the Kate stuff in a second, but like last week, we also got some clues about Kurt Russell's age.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. The whole season, I was in the podcast, the timeline doesn't add up. You should be old as hell. And I'm like, are they going to talk about it? But I guess not, because it's like, 40s, 50s, it's whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess I could do some quick math and just try and like logically piece it together. But every time I just said, fuck it.
Yeah, every time I do it, I'm always like, he has to be like minimum 20s to be this level of military.
Right? I'm like, he has to be 20s in the 50s. So it's like, okay, 55, let's just say he's 25. You add, like, you do 50 years to that to get to the early 2000s. He's 70. Add 10 years to that, he's like minimum. 80 minimum. 80 minimum.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell isn't 80 minimum.
No.
He's looking good.
And when they first did it, I was like, oh, good genes, I guess. I really thought they were that was it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're just brushing. It's like, it's so meta. They're just brushing it over. But no, he says like.
They were just like, hey, we got Kurt and Russell working together and it looks good. And it does look
exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
But now that they keep bringing it up, I have one idea, and I think whatever it's going to, because we remember in the first episode, our girl, she falls into the pit.
She dies.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah, she dies, and then we spend every flashback developing her per episode.
Which is, I finally like broke this week. I'm like, Jalen, it's crazy that we got that she's dead in the first episode, and every flashback afterwards has just been about her. It was a very interesting story decision.
So I imagine what's going to happen is we're going to lead to like the last couple episodes is like we're going to go in, find her, and we're going to get her, and that's going to lead to what I assume happened to Russell's character, Lee, which is some sort of time dilation shit's going to happen to him to where that's why he's younger, because he missed time. He got stuck in there, comes out, That's why Monarch keeps having to fucking wrangle on him and has him under arrest because they want like, what happened to you? Why aren't you telling us shit that you found? All right, fine, lock you down here.
That's a good call. So you think she's alive? You think Kay's alive?
Yeah, I think she's alive, and I think we'll find her because I don't think they had their child yet. So
I don't know if they did either. I need to go back and like go
watch
through
episode 1.
Catch episode 1. What was the year in episode 1? Was it in the
Honestly,
60s? It had to be 60.
Honestly, looking
like,
at episode 6, I feel like that's the outfits they were wearing, at least a couple of them in episode 1. So we might just be on the cusp of it.
On the cusp. Because this week we're getting some messy, deliciously messy Kay and Lee romance. And I'm like, isn't she going out with Lee or Billy? Is she cheating on him? But I guess this is beforehand. This is before her and Billy have some friends over. This is
please ignore
sister,
grandparental family watching football.
Cool. I watched the football game yesterday, guys. I watched the Bengals yesterday. My mom came over. We won. I took a nap because football bores me. I took a nap. First quarter we were losing. I took a nap. Fourth quarter we were tied, and then somebody somehow came back. I'm like, oh, good job, Bengals. Anyways,
I'm not a diehard football fan, but I know how the game is played, and I can find enjoyment in the matches, especially rooting for home team.
The only football games I actually watch are like Super Bowl parties. When somebody invites me over, I'm just like, I'll sit here and watch a game. Are we winning, son? That's me.
It's not fun anymore for me because the commercials have gone downhill.
Oh yeah, they haven't. I remember peak commercial like Super Bowl stuff. That was like the mid 2000s, 2012, those days. Now it's even like pretty bad.
Even trailer drops, I think, are starting to peel back.
Yeah, WB doesn't do them. Disney doesn't do like the peak Civil War era. That was 2016.
I remember 2016. I was like, fuck, I need to take a shower, but I don't want to miss this fucking Civil War spot.
Together we fall. What was it?
Yeah, dude.
You chose the wrong side.
Teams that are missing 2 people.
Yeah, man. Civil War also was trending this week. Clip going around. I'm like, Civil War is still my favorite Marvel movie next to Black Panther. Love. Oh, and I showed my kids last day of school. I showed my kids Infinity War. I think I talked about it on this podcast. Yeah, movie still slaps. One of them was like, because I literally ended. It was at 2:00. We get off at 2:05. 2:00. Thanos throws Gamora over, whatever it's called, Vormir. And one of my students is like, what happens next, Mr. Harris? I'm like,
they ever seen it?
I guess some of them haven't. It came out, 2018? Yeah. They were born in like 2011, some of them.
Wait, what? Wait. Okay, yeah. It's 2018. My brain was like, it's 2018 now.
I'm teaching 6th graders, guys. 6th graders, so most of them are
old. This is what I heard.
Most of them have not seen, because I had to dial back on the amount of like bonus questions that are Marvel related on my test. Because I used to be like, what's the highest grossing Marvel movie? Multiple choice. They used to be easy for them. But now it's like
every Infinity Stone.
Gosh. Now I just do like, what movie did Hakuna Matata come from? And
Shrek?
Yeah, for some of them, that's still too hard. I'm like, Princess Jasmine is from which Disney movie? Like, Mr. Harris, this isn't fair. I haven't watched these movies. I'm like, that's on you, fam.
Well, then I guess you're fucking. I had nothing.
Yeah,
you don't deserve my time, frankly.
A lot of my bonus questions are like Disney related, or just plain old like random science trivia. Like, what's the brightest sun in our, or what's the brightest planet in our solar system?
You should. You know what you should do is you should rip episodes of Willow and screen those.
I really should.
Spread the word.
Spread the word, baby. Come on, Bob Iger. Everybody send them acorns.
I guarantee if you posted about how you had your class do like a fucking report on Willow and you posted about it, that would trend like hell. That would be great.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Maybe then would John Casson would tweet again. John Casson, where you at? Where you at?
Was he last working?
Tweet. Say something. Willow.
Oh, what? He's in post-mortem, I guess.
The last thing you tweeted about was like Willow might not be dead. This. And this was like March of this year, with the strikes were just happening. So I was like, okay, I can give some leniency there. But then he hasn't tweeted anything.
If I had a nickel, Evan, for every time I saw somebody who worked at Lucasfilm post about their bookshelf.
Well, that's different. But shit, yeah, I don't know what we're talking about. Monarch, yeah, but
excuse me.
Kind of reminded me of somebody's phone who went off during the walkout. I was like, this asshole. But yeah, Lee has grown older. Or sorry, what am I talking about? Lee has he alluded to like this top secret science mission. Something happened to him that alludes to like why his age is a little bit younger than what he should be. I forget the exact line, but he alludes to like, hey, something happened on some mission, and voila. It's a very quick. It was a very quick reference. We took note of it. So I'm guessing. I tweeted out yesterday. My guess is that next week, since we have our characters divided between Kate, Kentaro, May, trying to find civilization, while Lee and Duval is like the black-haired lady, who is like not the boss. The boss is somebody else, but Duval is like the person that was talking to May. Him and her are going to go help Godzilla. So there's so much stuff to break down with all this. I don't know where to start. I'm going all over the place. Sorry, guys. But so we kind of already talked about Lee's age thing. It's kind of hard to theorize, but you're saying you think that Kay is alive and that whatever happened in that abyss or whatever it was, the egg nest area hive, could allude to what happened. My theory was that like Kay dies. We know Bill goes on to raise his son by himself, as we saw in this episode. I forget who was talking about it. I think it was Lee. He was saying like, "Oh yeah, Bill Randon, his kid Hero, were deemed crazy." Yeah, it was Lee, because he said Bill and his son Hero, who is again the father of Kate, the main father who went missing. Bill and Hero were deemed crazy because they went on all these like worldwide missions, doing their own separate thing away from Monarch. But then they were also closely aligned with Monarch, which kind of alludes to what we see in the past, which I'll get to at the end of this episode. But like, so Bill and Hero are off doing their travel spree. We have no idea where present day Bill is. So I don't know what's happening with Bill. But Bill definitely seems like a character that could still be alive. We have not confirmed or denied his death yet. But anyways, Hero is still out there, as we see in this episode, chasing after Godzilla or trying to attract him because he had the same Titan bait that was alluded to seen in 50s Japan, when Kay and Bill first went to Japan. Excuse me. They went to Japan to go look for the Titan. This crazy doctor said he saw something, and they go there and they realize he had been communicating with Godzilla, who had actually survived the nuclear bomb test from the early 1950s. Oh no, what a surprise. We all knew this, but it was cool to see the reactions from the characters. Kay, who is like ecstatic, basically, like, okay, we didn't kill it. Lee was like shocked. Oh shit, like we should tell boss. And Bill also being super excited too.
And I love the parallels that are cut pretty immediately, where Kay is relieved that Godzilla is alive, whereas her granddaughter is horrified that
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good parallel. I didn't even piece that together, but yeah. Kay and Kate have definitely different experiences with Godzilla. Kay was all about like, we should save it, we should study this science. Hell yeah. While Kate's like, this entity traumatized me, and he wants nothing to do with it. But I want to talk with you, Nathan, about the lingering question from this week's episode about Lee wanting to help Godzilla. What's your current theory about that? The first thing that went to my mind was that like he wants to help Godzilla against the other monsters, kind of like what we saw with Shirizawa's character in the movies, but I'm not so sure. Jalen seems to think that he wants to help Godzilla's image. I'm not sure what Jalen was trying to say, but because Jalen was alluding to how we got a very big perspective shift from Lee this episode. In the past, Lee was like he makes a big mistake by leaving his post, not staying for like the Monarch meeting bullshit, and going to Japan unannounced without permission. When he gets back, Monarch is now fully under control by the government, which was warned by General Puckett, who said, if you leave, beware the consequences, basically. And do you want a hot dog? Which is weird. He's like, hey, Lee, do you want a hot dog? No buns?
I'm sure he would have got him a bun.
I don't want a hot dog.
They're actively grilling.
There was no buns on site.
He's at the grill. You don't put your buns on the small circular grill.
Well, it was weird. It was a weird question to ask. Don't ask me, do I want a hot dog? It was weird.
It's not that weird.
It's kind of weird.
They're frying right in front of him. He's like, you want one?
Want one here.
No, he didn't. That's not what it means. Evan, you need to go to more barbecues, goddamn.
I hate barbecues. They're awkward. They're stupid. Flies are everywhere. It's usually hot out.
I'm agree with you there. I hate the fact that like out in the sun with flies, bad call. There should be a better time for these things, and it's not there. At least it's not around like Forest Station where there's active bugs.
Yeah, and he had a pretty great backyard, by the way. Pretty damn good backyard.
Yeah, pretty 1950s American backyard.
Yeah, very American. And it was funny because Lee was talking about it early in the episode about like how this could be our life, going to these meetings, these parties, BSing with the superiors, grilling out with the family and the kids and children. It was really weird that they were talking about children to each other. Kay and Lee. This is some of the romantic, awkward BS that I kind of liked in this episode. It was really funny and endearing for both of these characters. But anyways, yeah,
it was funny when they're having that conversation. They're like, you know what my favorite thing about children is? It's like that they're not afraid to ask questions. He's like, my favorite thing is making them. Like you have zero riz.
Zero. That was weird.
Is this all you got? Is this all you can offer? Goddamn, you're horny ass.
Nathan, when I tell you I was dying of laughter when he said that. Oh my god, this was a hilarious episode.
I was like, that can't work. That can't work. And
that can't work.
And they're going up.
And the tone made it seem like it worked, right? The tone made it seem like, oh, he's
Well, I mean, it's she's very good at conveying just like you fucking idiot, but there's some endearment in this stupidity.
Yeah, it's like a endearing idiot, laughable idiot.
Himbo indeed.
It was so funny, man. Like I said, guys, this was a funny ass episode. Because just random shit was happening. But and then they're about to make out. They don't. They head to the elevator. And this guy he's ready. He's like, I'm about to get some. You know what? I need this elevator to go. Hurry up. Homeboy comes in. Lee Shaw. He's like ignoring the hell out of it. And then Bill calls. And it's even more awkward, right? It's like, how can he not be? You're forcing this guy to be a third wheel. Just all this like weird shit. Which, okay, I'll break down the Lee and Kate romance stuff later. But I want to talk to you again. What do you think he meant by helping Godzilla?
Well, I think his present endearment to Godzilla is because of Kay. Clearly,
I think so too. Right? I don't want to interrupt, but like, my theory was that like that I got from this episode is that he had a totally different mindset with Monarch, right? He's doing all this. The whole Monarch enthusiasm was based on Kay in the past, his love for Kay. Mm-hmm. He ditches the grill to go see Kay. He does all this to go protect Kay. Remember the awkward scene where he's like, I'm here to protect you. I mean, all of you. It was weird. So he's doing this for Kay. And then when Kay dies, or also when he leaves to go support Kay, the government takes control. And then we skip over to see, at least in the first episode, that Kay and Bill are now going out, and then like they're still looking for Titans. When Kay dies, I think he puts a lot of the guilt on himself, presumably, and then now in the present, he's doing all this to like not avenge, but just like do support Kay's wishes and all the things that like he should have done in the past. I think, which kind of connects with what Duvall is saying, how like Monarch has changed. I don't like the way the Monarch is running now. We've kind of talked about this in a variety of ways because earlier on in the season, me and you were like, Monarch is supposed to be the good guys, but they seem like bad guys for some reason. I think the show is finally tackling that by being like, yeah, Monarch isn't really great because of what we see in the 50s with the government taking control. It kind of led to a domino effect of what we see in the present, where they're not so much about searching for Titans. They're more so about like kidnapping people and doing some sus stuff. Just not being what they were truly about in the present because of what happened in the past.
Right.
But anyways, that kind of connects with what Lee's doing in terms of like helping Godzilla instead of what like current Monarch is trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a little through line of the franchise. In regards to Monarch. I think this is the perfect point in the timeline of the universe to be exploring this version of Monarch, because the way we're looking at it, obviously, first off, to go back to the main point, Lee is wanting to help Godzilla. I think it probably is an image thing because as of right now, where we are is that this is the first, I guess, big public appearance of Godzilla that the world knows of his existence, and we see how the world has responded, like, oh, the terror of G-Day, and like over in Japan is like, oh, the warning sirens, Gojira's coming. The world does not yet know Godzilla is a savior of the planet, a protector of the earth,
yes,
a balancer of nature, which Serizawa is very adamant of, he's pretty much the only one, him and Sally Hawkins in the first movie. Whereas like even when the generals like making plans, like, we're gonna have to plant this bomb in the nest of San Francisco, he's like, I just think you should let nature take its course, let them fight, type deal. But he's the only one championing that idea. But he works in Monarch, and he's like one of those few people, I think, who actually gives a damn about the monsters, right?
Yes.
Similar to Kay and Randa and everybody of the classic what Monarch should have been type deal, right?
And what seems to be happening with like Duvall, the person that May talked to on the phone, who was like, hey, she said to lead, like, hey, there's some people in Monarch who are not happy with the way things are happening these days. Can you help me? Lee's like, sure. So yeah, I think definitely there's like a certain split happening within Monarch. Continue.
So yeah, and now we even saw at the end of episode 6 that like this new government dude is taking over. That is definitely going to be more of a hard ass and start going more toward steering the ship toward, we have monsters on this world. How can we kill them? How can we take them out? That's their through line.
Which is what we see in present day with the new boss, the woman boss, who is kind of like interrogating these people. They have Lee in lockup, and she seems to be not bad, but definitely like not good either. I can't get a good read on her myself, but yeah.
Yeah, but you do know that their whole present mission is like, how do we prepare for the next G-Day? How do we focus on this? Even if you like look back to the Monarch recruitment post credits of like Kong Skull Island with Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston, it was like more so just like, hey, there are more monsters out there, we got to figure this stuff out. And I'm sure they would have like left Kong alone because he's stuck on his island. He ain't trying to leave. He ain't a worry. It's fine until he's full grown and alpha size to go against Godzilla and Godzilla vs. Kong, which is a running plot there. But in regards to Monarch, we know in present day things are shifty, and I think this series is towing the line towards a better outlook of Monarch, toward Godzilla at least being a protector, because when we get to King of the Monsters, the sequel that takes place after this show, they're still pretty like on the lookout for like the Titans and stuff, but they do try to plead the case to Congress and stuff of like trying to coexist with them and such.
Yes, which kind of alludes to what I think is happening on this show, the trajectory of this show, which is very fascinating. As you said, in the 50s, government takes over. In the present, they're still all about how to prevent G-Day. They're not really about like what Lee and Duvall seem to be about, or what Shirazawa seems to be about in terms of like helping these creatures, or just, you know, the science of it all. It's less about the science and more so about like protection, which again it's not necessarily a bad thing to prevent another G-Day, because thousands of people died in the Godzilla attack, even though he was doing it for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the trajectory of this show is trying to get Monarch back to the way it's supposed to be, which will align directly with what you're saying to what we see in Godzilla vs. Kong. So there is a trajectory, there is a change happening from Godzilla 2014 Monarch to what we see of Monarch in Godzilla vs. Kong, which is why the beauty of this show is to see that progression in real time, to see how this Monarch, how their legacy of monsters develops into a legacy, how that legacy has changed over time, basically. The title, as I alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, the title is starting to become fleshed out. We're starting to understand the meaning of the title. The show isn't just about like, hey, it's about like these trios or whatever. It's about Monarch's legacy and how Monarch's past affects its present, and how Monarch, the entity, would change. And similar to how I just discussed a very similar topic with Loki season 2, which is all about how the entity of the TVA changes in real time. We saw how that happened. I think Monarch is going through a very similar change. How is it going to change? And I think Lee is pivotal to that, even though, let's discuss this, Lee and Duvall go on different paths from our main three heroes in May, Kate, and Kentaro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your perspective is, but the show seems to be leaning that, like, when Lee's like, I'll take the map with me, or I'll go save Godzilla. Like, why did it seem antagonistic? I don't think it was supposed to be, but it seemed to me that they were like, granted, that could just be my perspective, but like, it seemed to be that Lee was doing something not necessarily bad, but just like, I don't know, selfish or negative, I guess. While the three people who are just looking for the father is more positive. I don't know. And I think lastly, because I think what Lee's doing should be helping Godzilla, which is then helping Monarchs as a whole. Like, I think Lee might be pivotal to how Monarch changes for the better. I could also see Kentaro, Kate, May eventually, when Monarch's like better, they could join Monarch, and season 2 could be about how Monarch can them chasing after, instead of their father, chasing after monsters for the benefit of Monarch. I think their vision of Monarch, while it makes sense from their perspective that like Monarch's bad, we shouldn't be working with them. I think in the next 2 episodes we can see that change where they're like, okay, we can change Monarch from within and continue my father's legacy, in terms of hero and what he wants, which I think again is why the hero confrontation is going to be very important. I think Hero would want to continue his father Bill's legacy and his mother Kay's legacy. So I think it could be a legacy that, like, the legacy of the family could be similar to the legacy of Monarch, because they are one and the same. So I don't know. It's very interesting, and it could be a good capper for Kate's arc, where she's like having this issues with responsibility with her relationship problems, and then her, hatred of Monarch. It could just be a good thing. It's like I could like she could be supporting her family through helping Monarch in a positive way. I don't
know. Well, to the point, I don't think when Lee was taking off the map, I don't think I was meant to be
okay.
Antagonistic.
It's just 2 heroes splitting up.
Yeah, I think it's just the framing of just like the perspective, because the whole journey. Kate, who's been, I think, the leader of the trio in the scenarios, has been anti-Monarch the whole time. Even when they first arrived there, it was like, "What do you mean? Like we're tagging up another Monarch dude? They're like, we have one set goal." And he's like, and even Lee is like, "Look, I know everything's tangled and it sucks, but that's how it is."
And not everybody in Monarch is the same. Like which is
Yeah.
what we're saying. It's like Monarch is very much having a civil war without knowing it, basically.
Yeah. And so in that regard, I think he just has a set goal. Again with his personal love of Kay, is like he's fulfilling like that lifelong sense of commitment to her by having also the commitment to the protection of Godzilla. And again, like setting the image straight, because as it is right now, the world does not yet realize that obviously Monarch can be and is a good thing to help protect and ward off against kaiju threats, but they are not yet aware that Godzilla is not one, and the world needs to know that, because Godzilla is just the protector. It's basically any Titan in the world is not a threat. They're only a threat if they come to like attack our mainlands. All the ones that aren't a threat, they don't do that. Godzilla doesn't do that. He doesn't actively seek civilization to destroy. He lives on his own. And then when something that offsets the balance, whether that's like the awakening of Ghidorah or the building of a Mecha Godzilla, that's only when he comes to arrive to attack, because he's leveling out that balance of the power set of the world.
Which is just so fascinating. Again, having watched -1 and all the other Godzilla films recently, it's like now we understand your perspective of like, oh, this Godzilla's good, different.
Yeah. And then in regards to Keiten Kintaro's father, I think he is somebody who got into the family business of working with Monarch, probably likely through his father, who was actively working in Monarch in Kong Skull Island, because it is John Goodman's character. I keep forgetting, but it is. And so I think it's just a thing where he was at a point before he ran away with all of his stuff. He was actually trying to work within for the betterment, kind of like a probably in kind of in the sense of a Galen Urso in the Empire type deal.
Oh yeah, that leads to me another question. After the 50s, after that scene in the 50s where the government takes over, Kay walks away. Kate dies. Actually, I mean, yeah. Let's skip over that. Kate dies. Do we think Bill continues working for Monarch? Was his father even working for Monarch, or was his father just like he got a lot of files from John Goodman's character, and then he just followed in his father's footsteps as a freelancer, or was he working for Monarch? I'm not sure.
Well, John Goodman's character, who is Bill Randa in Kong Skull Island, he is actually working for Monarch in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, your Goodman character is Bill Randa?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got like a little over about 20 years to turn to John Goodman. But point being, at the start of Kong Skull Island, he is actively working for Monarch, and he's actively asking government officials to get approval for like a military escort to go to Skull Island and explore the terrain of it.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's interesting. And then, as you said, Hero's going to be following in his father's footsteps and trying to do that kind of stuff. I totally forgot Bill was John Goodman's character.
And I can totally see once he reunites with his kids, then they'll have the discussion amidst also, like, hey, why did you have two families? To also break down the importance of what Monarch was and should be once again. And I think they might get inspired to join up in Monarch to help turn the tides of how it should be, the Monarch that it always was meant to be.
Sorry, you said Lee and Hero are going to do that?
Hero and his kids.
And his kids,
at least his kids. Which also, it was interesting. In the flashback, we saw they built this device that mimics Titan calls.
Cool.
Which it looks like their father has a miniaturized version on the back of his truck, which I think is what awoke in Godzilla.
Yeah, and I think that's why Lee saw that. He's like, "Oh shit! Like we gotta go. That's attracting a monster." Little did we know that it was Godzilla.
And I'm only just remembering right now, but they have a more succinct version of that in King of the Monsters called the Orca, that like briefcase device that can like mimic vocal cords of Titans to call and awaken them.
In what movie?
in King of the Monsters.
Godzilla 2, yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's crazy. So
Also,
yeah, it all
I,
connects.
I love the flashback because the dude that they visit, he calls the island they're on the Monster Island, which I love because that's a callback to the OG Godzilla films. That's where they would all
Odo
live on.
Island.
Yeah, but the nickname Monster Island is what all the monsters was living on back in the old Toho films.
Oh, that's sweet. That's cool.
I cheered when I heard that. I was like, "Let's go!" Because in the world, I just assumed that they would have made Skull Island that basically, but they never call it Monster Island. But then they did here, and I was like, "That's a deep cut. That's awesome."
That's really cool. Yeah, yeah. Scientist was crazy too. But yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Whereas like Lee wants to help Godzilla's image. So how do we think he does that then? We're just like videotaping Godzilla. I assume there has to be some kind of monster clash by the end of this series with something maybe. Because apparently in this episode and last week's episode, Kei's father Hiro has been following these pings via these gamma rays that are popping up. Whether is he following just Godzilla's footsteps, or is he following another creature? I think, and now I think about it, could just be in the him was following Godzilla's footsteps.
Probably Godzilla, but also
It could
we
just
know from promos that Godzilla is about to fight a creature in some land, in some dark area. So that'll be interesting. I know, remembering back to King of the Monsters, people weren't 100% yet on like Godzilla being a hero person until later until the fight in Boston when he defeats Ghidorah and stuff, because Ghidorah is obviously like the worst of the fucking worst.
Yeah, 3 dragons, not good, people.
And an alien at that.
Yeah, which is a very cool reveal. Yeah,
really, really cool lore. That's classic Ghidorah as well. He's an alien from space.
Outer space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just like a lot about what the show is dealing with in terms of like really getting into Monarch's legacy and how that connects with like Kei's legacy as like her individual, because her legacy ties in with this because Kei helped create Monarch in the first place, and then now her legacy, her family's legacy, is directly tied into that. So I'm very curious to see what Hiro's perspective is with this, what his current relationship is going to be like with Lee. So I think Lee has a very fond relationship of Hiro. Granted, that's his like crush's son. Messy.
What if the reveal, Evan, is that what if the kids aren't related, and what if Lee is one of the dads?
That'd be wild. That'd be weird. What was I gonna say? So yeah, I'm curious about all that. And yeah, just to see like what Hiro's like main mission is, and I had something else to say, but I totally lost it. But yeah, whatever. So yeah, this seems interesting. Also, small tidbit, but like when May was like, "Oh yeah, so I sorted this out," and Cave's like, "Oh, don't talk to me anymore." Why are we doing this? Why? It was funny because like they got to the argument, and then like it starts. The camera rolls back, and they're still walking in the same direction. I'm like, oh, so nothing changed. We're still walking in the same direction. Now you're just mad at me for some reason. And by the way, she's like, "You sold us out to Monarch. You're the reason." Hey, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Monarch, right? First of all we knew when we got back from the San Francisco trip is that like our dad is maybe in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they had a precise location until Lee was that like he had the resources to get them to that location. They wouldn't have even got there without Monarch's resources. So why are you so upset now? We're here because that's what it's out, basically. Right? It's like, were we going to get a plane ticket to Africa? Were we going to get to this spot with the Jeeps and all this stuff with weapons and then all this safety protocol? Like, Monarch helped us get here. Come on, kid.
Big reveal. Apparently, May's got a lot of money and she doesn't give a shit anymore about hiding. So she's like, I can get us anywhere now. And they're like, don't talk to us.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, shit.
Which is like, crazy. Okay, cool, we will use that. Like, yes, we will use that. We're angry at you, but we will use that. But I'm sitting here as an audience member, like, why? did this happen at all? Why is there a splinter in every aspect of this trio now?
Yeah. It didn't need it was just so weird. And I expected Kate to be like understanding of May by episode 6, to be like, damn. But okay, cool. We wouldn't have got here without them anyways, but let's move on. That's it.
Have we broken down and seen yet what Kentaro apparently did to May to make her upset? Have we seen that yet?
Not really, but I think she was upset, and he admitted to it. Like, he had commitment issues, right? Like, I think it was on him. Like, I think he broke up.
I don't know, because May treats it like you ruined my life type deal.
I don't think she goes that far.
She does though, and she's very petty every chance she gets.
But like, I mean, I think she blames him for uprooting her life currently, which kind of did.
But then she admits in this episode of like, I ran away to Tokyo to get away from my issues. That's exactly not on him.
You're right. Like, but then it is on him, where now that she is in Tokyo, she has to move from Tokyo because Kentaro brought the shitstorm to her house, basically. So I think that's why she was upset, because she's like, I could have just been living peacefully in Tokyo, hiding MIA until you brought me here. But also, I think she's projecting because she also likes Kentaro. I don't know.
Yeah. I was watching last episode. Sorry, yeah. I was watching last episode, and I'm like, I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
I had fun. It was basically a Last of Us episode, by the way. It was very fun.
And then I don't know. I think Kentaro was genuinely trying to be nice, and then she fucking made a snarky remark at him again. I was just like, fucking hate it here. And I get it, and I understand, but I'm just like, can we
get along?
Can we step past it, please?
Yeah, it's a very, both present and past. It's a very messy trio, which is kind of like, I dig the mess, because if they got along all the time, it would be pretty boring. Which is why we're in for one of my favorite trios of all time in Grover. Yes. Grover, Percy, Annabeth, and Wednesday. Because I love Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, where it's just like Percy and Annabeth butt heads, of course, but you know where that leads. And then there's like Grover being like the peak friend. So like Grover's not a third wheel, as is like Bill in this episode, where he's like, "Hey, buddy, let's go. We're your fourth wheel in over here. Let's leave these two alone so they can make out." By the way, it was weird. Let's break down this romance stuff because it's weird. But I like it.
Or not?
I don't know. Because look,
is that in the future they're a thing?
I think in the future, Bill gets with Kay.
Yeah.
After this, I assume after we see this episode, after the government takes over Monarch, Kay and Bill probably leave while Bill stays in the military. And I assume that's when Bill and Kay get close, because they're like, hey, Lee screwed us, kind of a thing. Maybe that's my interpretation. Because again, by the time we get to episode 1, it's super awkward between Lee and Kay. And by that point, Kay and Bill have already gotten together, and I think already have a child. But you think maybe not. But anyways, it was weird because then Kay in this episode was like, we can't get together because my love for Monarch and my love of you will be like, intersecting, and like, I don't know if what I'll be doing is for the good of Monarch or for the good of you. And Lee was like, okay, whatever. But I'm also like, we know that's a BS excuse because you get with Bill, who's also with Monarch. So it's like I think
it's the different factions of like their levels of the government, right? Because he's militaristic side versus the research side.
Okay.
They're both researchers, so it's it's fine.
Researchers, so it's fine. It was weird. Don't use the like I can't go out with the coworker excuse on me if I'm Bill, basically.
I'm always reading every new job I get. I'm reading through like the training videos, and it's just like always like make sure to report to HR, and it's like fucking no.
Report to HR if what?
Just report to HR if like a romance is like wanting to be explored, which is like just not natural human behavior at all. You're not just like, hey, we might like each other. Let's go fill out some paperwork on this. Like, no.
I didn't know that was an HR thing. Wow.
supposed to be, I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
That's weird.
It's also just discouraged in general because you don't want to like have awkwardness between coworkers, I guess. But that doesn't stop it.
Yeah, that's weird. So yeah, that whole scene on the pier was very funny, and then the whole thing pops out of the water. That was a cool scene. And then Godzilla's back.
He looks really good coming out of the water. In both sequences of him coming out.
Fantastic. He was just sleeping in Africa, chilling.
Yeah.
By the way, it didn't look like Africa by the end of this episode when they were just walking. It looked very much like, is this Canada? Are they filming in Africa? It looked a lot. It didn't look like a desert to me. Like when Godzilla awoken, that looked like a desert. But then when they were walking away to find civilization, it was all like this green pasture. I don't know. I could be an idiot, but it looked like
where were they? They ended up in the it was not the Sahara like initially projected. They were at a different spot.
Were they north of the Sahara?
Algerian, right? I think
Maybe.
That's what it was. The Algerian desert. I don't know. But either way, I know. I also noticed a bit like while they were driving, I was like, "Are you outside?"
Yeah. So that all that to say, yeah, it was a very interesting series of events.
Shout out to the Mothra versus Godzilla movie from the 60s because that was showcasing one of the first times, one of the only times Godzilla rose from the dirt as his first appearance instead of from the ocean like usual.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, it was cool. Godzilla was just chilling, and then they interrupted his sleep. How dare they?
Right, every time.
Every time.
Like, I just want to get something to eat. You blew this up in my face.
I'm trying to think what else we should talk about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week where I predict that we'll get more information on what happened to Lee in his past. Maybe he shares that with Duvall. But Lee's past, what happens after the government takes over Monarch, that'll be interesting to know. Because there's a period of time between government taking over Monarch and then the first episode flashback where we see them all three together again. And then do we see them? It's the penultimate episode next week. Do we see them unite with the father who has gone off on his own direction somewhere? I think we do. I think they finally unite with the father next week.
Yeah, I think the fact that they're in this close proximity.
Yeah.
Like the father's not just going to run away because clearly he's doing work here actively.
Exactly.
And they're not going to give up this search being so close. They're not just going to be like, hey, let's just go home. Like, no, he's here. Let's go.
Yeah. And then I think we're going to get, leading into the finale, a renewed, I don't know how to say it, I guess vigor to help Godzilla. We're going to get the trios, or we're going to get them reuniting with Lee by the end of the episode. Once I think Hero's like, yeah, but Lee's doing this right. And they'll be like, what, Dad, are you sure? Lee's crazy. They're like, he's going to be like, yeah, I know, but Lee can be a hard ass. He's Kurt Russell, but work with him, please. That kind of thing.
Uncle Lee.
Yeah. So I think they're going to be like, okay, then we'll work with Lee. Leading into the finale where we get Godzilla versus some unknown monster.
Yeah.
That'll lead us to being like, wait, Godzilla's good. We should change Monarch. Oh, yeah. Another question I have about like this change of Monarch. The guy with the glasses still bewilders me every week.
He's supposedly now died in the crash of the
that's bullshit, right?
No, that's bullshit. Yeah,
that's bullshit. Okay, but also his character is just so weird to me. He's such a goofy character. He's like, yeah, Columbo.
he's like the fucking like we filtered out the fucking absurdity of these character archetypes of the modern MonsterVerse side characters. But he's like the 0.01% germ you couldn't kill.
He's so goofy. But I'm like, are you? Because he's actively working with the bad people. Mm-hmm. He was the boss, and then we see him in the helicopter working with the other goons with guns. He's like, yeah, I found him. So it's like, are you also part of the people who want change within Monarch? We've never heard him verbally say anything about like, yeah, Monarch's going down the shit, like we have with the black-haired lady, Duvall. Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, Monarch needs to change. Lee's like, yeah, or Lee recognizes that Monarch needs to change at least. Is the guy with glasses, does he realize that? Is he just a goon? Is he just dead? I don't think so. But if he's not, then what's the point of his character? His character is so weird to me.
Maybe he's just trying to rise up in the ranks of Monarch, but he's appeasing the current state of Monarch. I don't know.
I think he's just be in it for the science. Like he's genuinely in it for the science. Which okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you working with the other people, with the people that you're working with, like your boss, who seem to be only in it just to, again, prevent G-Day and not really help Godzilla. So
what's going to happen?
What
is we're gonna be at our wits' end, and we're gonna reach a dead end at a point, and
then
like of our plans. They're just like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And then he's gonna like push a button and be like, get out of here.
Oh yeah, that cliche. It's like, yeah, get out of here, guys, get out of here.
I'll take care of them.
I take care.
What's going on here? What's going on? I don't know. What happened?
Everything's okay here. We're fine. Thank you.
Only Harrison Ford can do this.
It's great.
But yeah, I think
so his character is just so weird to me. I'm like, what's his internal motivations? Because right now he's just like the sciencey character. I'm shocked that we have more motivation from the random black-haired lady who now has a tragic backstory with her sister, and she joined Monarch for a reason. She said this episode, she's like, my sister died, and I came to join Monarch to find out like the why of these monsters. And Lee's like, yeah, I understand. Like Monarch's gone through this shit basically. So I care more about this random badass black-haired lady Duvall than I do about the science guy who I thought was more important than her. But yeah, so I don't know. It also contextualizes why that woman has been protecting the guy with the glasses, because she just also wants to know information. She wants to know the science, the why of everything, which is good. Unlike Monarch now, which is just like, let's kidnap and shoot things. So yeah, it's very interesting. So again, I think we're gonna get even more answers next week with Hero's character, some more Lee flashbacks. And I can't wait to see all that happen. And hopefully our modern day trio gets their shit together. Yeah.
Also, it feels like they've been doing like a setup of like doing like a greater discovery, like Monarch. They're like, trying to find something much bigger. And I feel like logically within my brain, all I can think is like they're gonna maybe
find Kong.
Not Kong, but like the idea of the Hollow Earth in general, which they already kind of made a mystery of uncovering in King of the Monsters after this show. So, of like a tunnel network of traversing. But then that was separate because when you got the Godzilla vs. Kong, it took like a fucking traversal portal to get into.
Wait, when was Hollow Earth discovered? You said it was discovered in King of the Monsters. Like that's the first mention of it.
In the King of the Monsters, it was an idea of like just underwater tunnels of like traversing through, which is how Godzilla is able to like go so fast throughout the world. It was through like these hidden pathways. But then in Godzilla vs. Kong gets to the actual Hollow Earth, it was like it's a full fucking like portal ass system of like anti-gravital fluctuation reversal shit. Or sometimes you just crawl out of the fucking hole that Godzilla blew a hole into. I don't know. It's odd, it's random. It's sci-fi, so it can be, but
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about like Monarch's overall goal. Yeah,
I was alluding to back at the end of episode 4 last time we talked, which was like when the monster that was chasing them like collapsed into the ground. There was like a more like bioluminescent like pit glowing, and I presumed it was Hollow.
Yeah. Me too, because I didn't know what else it was. I guess it was just like its nest, but yeah, we never referenced it back again. So yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm trying to think what else. I liked the mother character last week. I thought that was some interesting interpersonal drama between Kate and her mom. Kind of liked all that kind of stuff, and her admitting like, yeah, I don't know what Hero's getting into. I like that character stuff for Kate. Because Kate has been like this mysteriously like angry, saddish character, and we finally got why last week with what happened to her in the past, with some great flashbacks. And yeah, the interview that I was reading alluded to like maybe Kate's girlfriend is not dead.
Oh,
because she didn't go on the bus, right? I mean, it was just the kids just died on the bus. Kate's girlfriend was like, "I'll stay at the gym while you go on the, or Kate kind of like separated herself on the bus. And that's when the girlfriend kind of alluded to, like, I think knowing that she was getting cheated on, we're saying like, you're afraid of commitment to Kate before she got on the bus. So yeah, maybe we might see Kate's girlfriend again in this season or a future season. I don't know if Monarch has been renewed for season 2. I should probably look that up right now.
I would like a season 2. I think there's enough in the show to do so, especially if they join Monarch.
As we've been talking about, I think they will join Monarch. I think this show is going to be about their legacy.
I think it would be cool to bring in, because I don't know if they keep Kurt Russell around. If they do, obviously great, do that. But also, I think it would be great if you could get Ken Watanabe back, because this is the only shot you would have it having him back in this universe since he died in King of the Monsters.
Yeah, I would love that. I think that'd be a great tease, kind of like Nick Fury and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm trying to read this article real quick. Okay, so we do not have a season 2 pickup yet. It's going to rely on audiences to continue to tune in. We would love to be working with our actors again next year. Are you guys developing any scripts in case there is a season 2? And they say, if this site freaking loads for me, they said we've had conversations about where we can go season 2. We have a fantastic room of writers room. Matt Fraction is a creative partner, developed a show with us, and we have corporate writers, blah, 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 blah. But right now, yeah, things are cooking in everyone's brain at this point, but no renewal for season 2. So yeah, I guess we just gotta wait. We're on episode 6 by now. Most Netflix shows would have got confirmation by now. So that's kind of interesting. This article also says, yeah, that's it. Basically, they have ID. Anyways, my screen has frozen. Oh, there you go. I'm back. So yeah, I hope we get a season 2. I think there's some interesting stuff that they can tackle, and this is a far more interesting show than I ever thought it was going to be, because I think the time stuff, going back in the past and the present, makes everything a lot more interesting and more complex than I thought it would be. So yeah, that's that. All right. So then we have some other stuff to talk about. Nathan, Saw 11 has been announced.
Woo!
One of the best theater experiences of this year was watching Saw 10. I think me and you both were just like shocked. Especially the first like 30 to 45 minutes of this movie was all like good character drama. Like, am I watching a Saw movie? What is this?
I said specifically, like both in my review and every time I talk about it, is like adding 30 minutes to these runtimes helped tremendously, because they've all been 90 minutes.
Tremendously. I forgot. Yeah, this movie was like what, 155? Like close to 2 hours?
The 2 hour, yeah.
Which you're right, it did miracles. So hopefully they learn what they did right with this movie and continue that on with Saw 11. But I wanted to discuss this with you because, yeah, it's just a title announcement. There's like a poster or whatever. But
spoiler alert.
Where could we be going?
Well, spoiler alert. Hoffman's back. And I fucking squealed like a little girl, man.
I'm so excited. Because yeah, in the post-credit scene, spoilers for those who have not seen Saw 10 yet, please watch Saw 10. Hoffman being back isn't really a spoiler because did he? No. Well, when was the last time you saw Hoffman before this movie?
Saw 7.
Saw 7 when it doesn't he get like
Saw 7 is the latest the timeline has gone other than Spiral.
I'm trying to forget. I'm trying to remember. I mean, what happened to Hoffman's character? Doesn't the guy from Saw 1 come back?
Gordon.
Dr. Gordon.
Dr. Gordon is a part of the Jigsaw games, and he's one of his devout followers, and he grabs Hoffman because Hoffman went off the rails, right? Hoffman went for his own malicious attacks framed as Jigsaw redemptions, but he wasn't playing fairly, which Jigsaw originally called him out for and was trying to figure out. But then by the end, he had his wife Jill put Hoffman through a final test
Yes.
with the bear trap because he was losing his way like Amanda was starting to lose her way.
But then he broke through with that.
Yeah.
And then, because I for some reason I thought Gordon killed Hoffman at the end of Saw 7, but maybe I'm thinking that wrong.
I think Hoffman ends up locked in the bathroom by Gordon by the end of that movie. He throws away the saw so he can't get out.
Yes. But then Saw 10.
We went back.
We went back?
Saw yeah, because John's
I'm
dead.
I'm an idiot. Okay.
John's dead. Amanda's dead. Hoffman's about to be dead.
Why am I sitting here thinking Saw 10 is going to take place after Saw 7? Anyways, yeah, Saw 10 takes place between 1 and 2. I'm an idiot. So yeah, Hoffman is back, but he's back in the sense that like he in the story because he's back. This is still a step between whatever. So Saw 10 was a step between 1 and 2, right?
I thought it was between 2 and 3, just based off of.
I'm pretty sure everybody who's been talking about it says between 1 and 2.
It probably is, but it's just the fact that every time I've seen him, like that one scene where he's like throwing away that doodle of the trap from Saw 3, I keep thinking like he's about to go into that, but probably not.
Actually, no. Now that I think about it, because like he's full on cahoots with Amanda in Saw 10.
Mm-hmm. In Saw 10 and in Saw 2.
So it could be Saw 2 then. Saw 10.
Well, actually, we find out from all the fucking flashback shit that like Amanda helped him set off the events of Saw 1 and put Lee Winnell in the fucking bathtub and threw the key in the haphazardly so it went down the drain. Remember that?
Yeah. The short answer is the Saw 10 takes place between Saw and Saw 2.
Okay.
That's what everybody's saying.
All right, I'll take it.
I'll take it too. Because yeah, you're right. Because yeah, Amanda was apparently helping him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think 3, 4, and 5 are all like simultaneous.
Yeah, 3, 4, and 5. We know it's hard as hell to do anything there. But with Hoffman back in the story, and again, Hoffman back in the story, i.e., in between 1 and 3. Do you think Saw 11 is going to take place between Saw 2 and 3 with Hoffman?
Probably. I think they're going to want to do another prequel-esque era because they want it. Their best has clearly always been when John is alive and doing stuff.
Yeah.
I think, it probably. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a full-on operation where you have both Hoffman and Amanda on site and being at odds with one another during setups.
That is exactly what I'm saying. And I said this during our commentaries. The beauty of Saw 3 was that was Hoffman in Saw 3? No, he wasn't. But one of the Saw movies, I saw a plot thread, and it was never pulled on again. That plot thread being the rivalry between Hoffman and Amanda. It was never really tugged on, but like it was touched on in Saw like 6 or 7, as you said, because like when they flash back and we realized that Amanda was sussing out Hoffman about like, and Hoffman was kind of sussing out Amanda about like their loyalty to John and the mission and going off on their own personal vendettas. Because as we saw, Amanda went off on her personal vendetta in Saw 3. Yeah. And Hoffman was kind of warning John about like, hey, your girl Amanda, she's doing some shit.
Yeah. Basically what happened, because I've been watching other people watch Saw. Hoffman threatened Amanda to tell John that she was partially responsible for the death of John's child because she was with the meth head trying to break in that crushed the door on Jill. Yeah. And so he's like telling her he told her to fuck up the game, which is why she made the rash decision at the end of Saw 3 to shoot the girl, because Hoffman told her to, otherwise he was going to tell John, and she was like so codependent on John and very obsessed with him, doesn't want to lose that.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, Hoffman, or not, I mean, no, Amy and Amanda, not Amy, Amanda and John were also kind of sus of Hoffman, as we see in Saw 7, where they do some flashbacks and they're like, Hoffman might be a kind of character that might not put a lot of trust in. Which is why in Saw 4, he's like, this is your test, Hoffman, basically. So John basically is testing both of these characters, which again alludes to what you said, what I said. Give me that finally, give us that Amanda versus Hoffman rivalry that never was, basically. Like, I want the creators to dive into that rivalry, make that into a movie, and let the chaos go on, right? I think because we got some great Amanda and John character work in Saw 10 about their trust for one another, their allegiance to each other.
It's a beautiful ending.
Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. And I want to see that by adding a third wrinkle to their duo in Hoffman, and how Hoffman kind of adds his own slice of chaos into the mix of the Saw family.
And I think another wonderful thing is like what makes Saw X so great is like it, opposed to all the other Saw films, is like it wasn't trying to fit into the greater timeline and like thread through to previous things. It was like it stems off, but it's this whole new adventures. Like John tried to find experimental treatment. He was conned by these con artists, and so he got revenge on them. And he had Amanda's help at the time, and now also at this time he has Hoffman's help. So now we can just explore with these characters, but we can have a whole new adventure. It doesn't have to tie into specific things.
Yeah, it's like they could be like Saw or Jigsaw has a whole lease on life now. He knows he's about to die. He couldn't save himself. He's on a ticking clock, as we see in Saw 2 and 3. Like, he's dying. How does that affect what Hoffman and Amanda are going through? And that can kind of like seed their rivalry with each other. Kind of like, clock's ticking down. Our boss is dying. Who's going to take over? Enter Hoffman versus Amanda. That could be a very interesting character play there. And I kind of like that they're fast tracking this because, main homeboy is getting a bit old there. How old is he now? Like 80 something?
Yeah, Tobin Bell is definitely up there. He's in his 80s for sure.
I gotta look that up real quick because, I was kind of worried. I'm like, whenever there's old characters and things now, with a lot of actors dying these days, I'm just like, I guess so 81, yeah, but he looks so good for his age. I'm like, just film it as soon as possible because the unthinkable may happen.
He still sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. The older he gets, the better Jigsaw sounds in a way.
I saw randomly. I forgot what fucking movie I was watching, but I got a trailer for a new movie, and it was only like a 45-second spot, but it was starring Tobin Bell, and it's a horror movie, and it's from Darren. Other two names. No, Darren. Bauer, I forget his name, but he did Saw 2, 3, and 4. But it's not a Saw movie, but it's with Tobin Bell, and I was like, "What is this?"
That's wild. I don't know. That's crazy. We're at a dollar theater or something.
No. Also to that point, I know nobody wants it, but I still wouldn't mind a Spiral sequel, frankly. The continuation of that, because I know it'd be fun for me.
I wouldn't mind it. Chris Rock was freaking hilarious in that movie.
Put Chris Rock and the dude who was the new Jigsaw, and put them together in like a series of traps that they have to work together in. That would be fun.
That would endear that character because that Jigsaw faker his voice was awful. I mean, his voice as Jigsaw. Hi,
hello, Detective Banks.
Hello, Detective Banks.
Oh, again.
Right. You're so right. Like, he sounded so whiny and so non-threatening.
Whiny. It was a higher pitch for sure, but
I couldn't take him seriously at all. But yeah, that'd be fun. Because these movies are great. Saw 11. I'm super excited. Coming out next. I don't know if they have a release date exactly. It just said 2024. I would assume October.
Yeah.
Hopefully not next to Joker because that's a bloodbath.
Maybe the September date, like they did.
Maybe September, yeah, because Joker's going to be a big hit next year.
Because that gave him enough time to breathe before Five Nights came out.
True, and that was also big, yeah. So yeah, here's hoping we get some good solid content next year. Horde is living up to his name. So yeah, our opinions: Amanda versus Hoffman. I'll be shocked. I would because I don't know what else they can do. That'd be interesting.
Do they explore those lost years of Carrie Elwes as a devout follower, being their surgeon throughout all the movies?
That would be funny. Just bring Carrie Elwes back.
Bring back Lee Winnell. Adam survived. Let's go.
Let's do it. So what else do we have here? Yeah, Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Verse games at Insomniac. This is unfortunate because a lot of this news came from a leak at Insomniac. Hackers have apparently hacked Insomniac, or at least one hacker has hacked Insomniac and has files on a lot of stuff like Wolverine, which is coming out presumably next year. I still think 2025, but there's a chance Wolverine comes out fall next year.
The greatest Spider-Man villain has been leaks.
Basically. So and it kind of confirmed that there are files set up and job postings for Spider-Man 3, which no doubt, and then Spider-Verse as well, possibly a Spider-Verse game. Of course, none of these are confirmed. The one that makes the most sense, obviously, is Spider-Man 3 because Spider-Man 2 ends off with a cliffhanger. It's a very complete game. Mm-hmm. But there's still stuff wrong with Harry and Osborn, and then we have Osborn meeting up with Doc Ock. And yeah, Nathan, want to share your horrible idea again to the audience?
It's not a horrible idea.
It's awful. It is not going to happen.
It'll happen.
Imagine, Nathan, you cook.
All right. Fucking God, give my ingredients. Shit. All right. Imagine. I think they're going to adapt the Superior Spider-Man storyline. I feel like it would be the ultimate gotcha on Peter Parker for Otto to do because they made a lot of emphasis throughout the first game that his body is deteriorating, it's shutting down, he's not going to be able to physically move it on its own. I mean, yeah, he'll have his active mind and the arms, but he would just be like a lifeless person. Obviously, that's not ideal. So its next stage would be obtaining a new body. How about Spider-Man's body, the most peak performance body? With the intellect of his mind, he could be a better Spider-Man, a superior Spider-Man. But the whole course of that, which is what also is a really great through line to explore, is through Otto being Spider-Man, he becomes a better person through the act of being Spider-Man. While also at the same time, the remainder consciousness of Peter that's left in his mind, because he dies in Otto's failing body in that comic, is that he's trying to fight back for control and through his memories to regain control of his own body from Otto. And also throughout that storyline, there's stuff with the Green Goblin taking over New York City, and I imagine they're about to do Norman kicking up as the Green Goblin. So if they want to do the whole Goblin Nation arc of overrunning New York, which would be a big game point to do, to we got to fight all these factions of goblins and take them down. Totally fits in line with adapting a full-scale game to that. And then when you get to that point where Peter takes back control and he has to face the Goblin, and Norman picks up, oh shit, this isn't Otto, this is you. That's you. And he's like, it's the one and only. And it was one of the best moments of that run. I think it would be a brilliant thing to do. I think it would be fun. Also, I have also admitted in explaining this that it would maybe be a little weird to be like Miles being like, this isn't Pete, this isn't you again.
That's what I'm saying. That's another big thing.
Which, sure, but I think maybe you don't have to do that. You could just pretty much right on, just if it's Miles being aware that it's Otto posing as Peter, but nobody else believes him, and it's just on himself to try to get Peter back as well, to try to help bring his friend back, and through him and MJ, presumably, and Cindy Moon, which would be cool.
Cindy Lou Who? What?
Right. Silk, baby. Which I
Yeah.
think would also probably be a greater expanse to the Spider-Verse-ness of whatever game they might be exploring in that regard.
Yeah. Horrible idea, but
No, they can cook.
It just seems so weird to me. Norman comes to Oscorp, or Norman comes to Doc Ock saying, like, I know you know who Spider-Man is. I know you can help me take him down. And you think Doc Ock's going to say, yep, I know what to do. Take control of Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, not like right off the bat there, but there could be like a gear up to that. You never know what they introduce, whatever they might decide to write in. But I think the overall arcing thing is going to be like, hey, look, you hate me. That's a clear. I don't like you much either. But we have a common enemy. We can help each other out. You need my resources. I need your mind. Let's go catch a spider.
Yeah, that could work. That could work. And to your credit, it does allude to like how they keep saying like this is going to be Miles. Miles is going to be the main character, and it gives an out for not being able to play as Peter, unless you're saying we can also play it. I guess some sequences we can play as Peter, played by Osborn or Doc Ock.
Potentially.
But yeah, with Miles being the main character, and Miles and Cindy being the ones to try and help out Peter or Spider-Man overall, that could be an interesting storyline. So yeah, it's interesting. It could happen. It could happen. I think the major Spider-Man 3 stuff is, as you said, Goblin Nation, the Goblin storyline. That's gonna be like because there's always an A and a B plot with the Spider-Man games. The first one we got Mr. What's his name? Negative. Mr. Negative, and then Doc Ock. This one we got Craven and then Venom. I think next one we're going to get whatever you're saying. It could be Superior Spider-Man and then Goblin. Goblin's going to be like the main villain.
To that point, it could also be, if they wanted to upgrade it even more, you could then choose to, you can go between Miles, Cindy, and Otto Spider-Man until he becomes Peter again.
Go between 3 characters. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I would love to play as Cindy. Like, let us play as Silk. I'll be shocked if we don't get to play as Silk, right?
Oh, you have to.
We have to. We have to play as Silk.
Webs out the fingertips and just new swinging styles. It'd be fun.
I would love it. And yeah, let's talk about that, because that's what I'm most excited for. Silk of all this. Cindy Moon, Silk, very interesting character. In the past, in the comics, she lost her family due to the events of Secret Wars and being stuck in a whatever she was stuck in. What was it? Like a lab or
basically like a cell.
A cell. Yeah, she's basically stuck in a cell her whole life. Not her whole life, but
Yeah, obviously I don't think that's the case here.
No.
Unless they write a dark backstory for her.
Yeah, because in this one she has a family, and she moves in with her dad to I guess the apartment complex, and then she's also, of course, the dad is the one who's going out with Miles' mom, Rio. Which again, it was so funny. The whole game, if you haven't watched our commentaries for the game, the whole time Nathan's like, "Oh, she's going to be," they're
going to reveal something because the way their dialogue is written, and you were like, "No,
it's going to be some random character," and no, it turned out to be.
Well, no, it's funny because then like they unveiled the man, and it was like, "Oh, this is a random guy."
Yeah,
and his daughter Cindy.
Like,
oh shit! Like we didn't expect that.
That was great.
Somehow wasn't spoiled by that, and wasn't spoiled by the DLC, which, spoilers, was Carnage.
Yeah, not DLC.
Carnage.
But
do they do Carnage? Oh, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right, Saka. Do they do at that point? If they were to do the Superior Spider-Man Goblin Nation adaptation, if that was the main plot for Spider-Man 3, would they just have Carnage be DLC for Spider-Man 2 in that case, do you think? Do you think that's too much to add on to a whole new game? Is it a retread to do symbiote stuff again for another game?
Yeah, I don't think they bring... If I'm them, I would make Carnage a DLC instead of... Because the game is... Spider-Man 2 is already about symbiotes and symbiotes running around. Add that to this game. Keep Carnage and stuff away from Spider-Man 3. make Spider-Man 3 all about Miles, Cindy, Goblin, and whatever you want to do with Peter, whether it's Superior Spider-Man or not. So yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see how they work with Peter. I assume we get to play as Peter Parker Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3 in some fashion.
At least the first like couple of missions until the brain swap happens.
Exactly.
And you pick up Miles and be like, "Hey, I'm on my way. What's going on? Oh
no!" And it'll be a cool thread to see, like, Miles is always under Peter's wing in this one, and Miles kind of taking on that leadership role throughout the game as Peter's kind of role in the duo kind of diminished with bad decisions and getting stuck with Venom, that being bad, and then Miles having to do a lot of the heavy lifting in Spider-Man 2. It'll be interesting to see that arc continue for Miles, where he is now the leader teaching Cindy some stuff. That'll be a very interesting chain of command dynamic shift there. I would really love that, to see Miles and Cindy grow close that way in a friendly kind of way, because he's still going out with Haley.
Where's Gwen?
Because we all thought like it would be Gwen. If they do Gwen, then it'll be a kind of a romantic lens. But since the game already has Haley, not really. I mean, we can still have Gwen, and Gwen could be a friend. But either way,
although at this point,
Cindy is very cool.
Wouldn't be mad if we didn't get Gwen until a Spider-Verse game, and then have Haley Steinfeld still continue to voice her.
That'd be amazing. So yeah, let's talk about that Spider-Verse game. Spider-Verse again, kind of teased in Spider-Man 2 via the Spider-Bot mission, where at the end of the Spider-Bots, a Spider-Verse portal pops open, collects all your Spider-Bots that you've gotten from the game, and says like Miguel would like this, or so in Spider-Man 2099 would like this, whatever they say. I forget what the verbiage is. But Miguel is a character in this universe, in the Insomniac universe. And I would love to have a Miguel only game. I know we've had Shattered Dimensions, we've had other stuff, like we've had Miguel games in the past, but like I would love for a PS5 version of like Nueva York. Spider-Verse would just give credence to a different maps, different cities, different settings, which would be very cool. Or some people said like a Spider-Verse game for Insomniac could be a different direction entirely. It wouldn't have to be open world. It could be like a Uncharted-esque Spider-Man game.
A lot of people are bringing up an idea of like doing another type of Shattered Dimensions game.
Where it's not like fully open world, but like it has big maps and big level designs.
Yeah, I think like in Shattered Dimensions, what they would do is that you would have a specific spider in their world, but there's like converging conflicts happening on their dimensions. So you would be playing in their world as them, and into the different sectors, and then they would cross paths and vice versa and team up at intermediate planes, all through the guise of like Madam Web directing you where to go, which would be fun. Stuff like that. And that I remember the main villain of that was Mysterio using real magic. Obviously, I don't think Insomniac's Mysterio is doing that anymore, but
no,
I don't know, Mephisto this time, maybe, who's to say? There's no Aunt May to mess things up, so it's fine.
So you're right, it's very interesting. Spider-Verse game has so much potential, and like people are saying online, it doesn't have to be necessarily what we've gotten in Spider-Man 1, 2, and presumably 3, which are all open world. It could just be different, like you're saying, small universes, smaller maps, but with bigger cast of characters, where even though we don't have a huge New York City to explore, we can get a smaller version with just Nueva York, or then 6-1 or whatever, Earth 66 with Spider-Gwen, like different settings entirely, even though they're smaller maps.
Imagine a new swing mechanic, fast travel, but the fast travel is between dimensions. So it's like the same way you pick up like those air rifts to glide. Now you get one of the portal lock-ons and you're swifting through, swinging, and you're going fast. Zoom, 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 boom! New universe.
That would be really cool. And then next thing you know, you're Spider-Gwen, and then you're Miguel, and then you're Silk again, and then you're Peter Parker. Like it'd be really cool to do that. And then you're Spider-Man Noir. Like you can do different stuff.
And you could do like the same device that you get in the Spider-Verse films, or like the specific watch, and you can like upgrade that through the skill tree to the different dimensions.
I would love that.
It writes itself.
So Insomniac has a lot on his plate. They have a team working on Wolverine. They have a team working on Spider-Man games. and I assume Spider-Verse is far out after that because I assume Spider-Verse is going to come out
No
after
wonder,
3.
no wonder they were like, we can't do Blade. We don't have time.
Yeah, they can't do Blade. No, and Blade's going to be Xbox only, I think, which sucks. But
I finally saw the teaser. That was a cool little teaser.
really cool teaser. Yeah, right. But I watched the gameplay for that. So yeah, Insomniac, all cool. Again, it wasn't fully announced because unfortunately they got hacked, but the news is out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Quick thing, 'cause I don't think it's in the show notes, but I did want to bring up there was a new TV spot that came out for Echo. It looks just still so good.
Yeah, I was gonna put in the show notes, but I'm like, it's only 55 seconds, nothing much to say. But yeah,
Sure.
It looks really cool. It looks stunning. I'm like, they keep hyping it up. All comes out on January 9th. Fuck you. Why are you just dropping all at once? I hate it.
It is wild. That's also like one of the shortest shows as well.
5 episodes. 5 episodes all on one day. January 9th. I looked it up on the calendar. It's like a Tuesday night, middle of work week. I'm like, man, this is gonna suck. So I think I told Jalen, like, we're gonna do like 1 episode per day, probably like just to prolong the conversation.
Yeah, it does also seem like they're the heaviest point of their marketing, other than having like a couple frames of Daredevil with each installment they have, is like this is Marvel's first TVMA mature audience.
It does look brutal.
Set your setting. It does, and you actually feel it for real, and it's exciting for sure. But also I feel like there's going to be plenty of weight in the story. I'm very excited to see Maya's journey in it all.
Me too. I think luckily, like, yeah, I would be worried if it was just like, this is TVMA, come here for the violence. I'm like, because I don't give a rat's ass. But Maya's heritage, her Native American past, and her relationship with Kingpin, that's going to be very interesting to track from episode 1 to episode 5. See how her relationship with Kingpin has grown or deteriorated since last time we saw them in Hawkeye. How their past connects them, and how Maya's heritage affects her character arc, and then for the fun things, how does she interact with Daredevil? What clues do we have for Daredevil Born Again, if that's still the title after all the shakeups? So I'm very excited for the show. It's only 5 episodes. So I think for us, we'll just watch it on our own time and then talk about it as a whole in one big review episode.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. I might end up rewatching Hawkeye just to get a refresher on Maya. And also, I think if I'm remembering right, the original character that they're introducing in one of the episodes of What If is going to be in Echo, I believe.
Oh,
I think
that'd be cool. Oh, that brings up, starting next week. On
once
the
a day.
22nd, I think, right? Next Friday, I think it starts once a day.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I have the schedule. Yeah, starting on the 22nd, we have episode 1, and it ends on the 30th, 1 through 9. We have Nebula joins the Nova Corps, which could be fun. Peter Quill attacks Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yep, that's. I look forward to that one because that's going to be like the old like 90s era heroes of the MCU teaming up for an Avengers team going against a child Peter Quill who has Ego's powers.
Oh shit, that sounds cool. Happy Hogan Saves Christmas.
That's on Christmas Eve. It's coming out.
Sweet.
Fun little thing there.
Christmas Day is Iron Man crash into the Grand Master.
I think that's the episode we didn't get last season with Tony building a
on whatever that was
called.
Sakaar.
Building like a junk Hulkbuster there.
Yeah.
But it also looks like there's like a big racing tournament happening in that episode from the trailer that I saw. The first trailer.
That looks fun.
Yeah.
Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper, which might be a continuation of the Captain Carter episode from season 1.
Which I think we theorize is that Steve's going to be the Winter Soldier of that universe.
Yeah, because last time we saw him, he was stuck on that old Iron Man like stuff.
Great choice for the time cross lovers now being hero and villain.
I can't wait for that. It looks there's so much potential there. And then we got Kahori reshaped the world.
That's the
what's Kahori
I was speaking of. This is a new character, I believe, that they're introducing in the studio. I don't even think they're in the comics necessarily.
Oh, is this the one voiced by like the Katara voice actress?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, that's who I was talking about.
Okay, that sounds cool. And like you said, is Echo related?
I think the character will be introduced in live action in Echo.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. And then we have Hela found the Ten Rings, which is my most anticipated one. I love Shang-Chi, you know me.
Oh yeah, I love Hela.
Hela teaming up with I think
Wenwu.
Wenwu, because I think Wenwu finds her, right? And then Hela kind of like turns into, I don't know, I forget how it goes. Like it's gonna be a twist. I don't think Hela's gonna be turned evil. Maybe Hela turns good using like the Wenwu. You know, she goes through the hero journey. I think. The Avengers assembled in 1602.
I'm excited for that.
That's great.
That
Back
being
in the past.
Yeah, like the Shakespearean versions of all the MCU, which I love. The fact that they're exploring that run written by Neil Gaiman, who's my favorite writer. So that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, because I remember partially reading a 1602 Marvel graphic novel out in the library back in the past.
See the X-Men, they're like witches.
Yeah. And then we have Strange Supreme intervened.
That's the finale. That's probably going to be my most anticipated because that's our Dark Doctor Strange from the first season.
Oh, that's a continuation of that storyline.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And he also was he was in the finale as well. He wasn't just in that.
You're right, because they had like the Avengers, this secret or what if Avengers, basically.
Him and the Watcher are friends essentially, and he's watching over. Was it I think Ultron? Was it Ultron and Killmonger?
Yes, in that one weird portal realm thing.
Yeah, fighting over the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Or was it? Wait, no. Now I'm remembering. It's not Ultron anymore. They uploaded. What's his name?
Killmonger.
No, the robot dude, the scientist that helped the Red Skull in first Captain America, and then Arnim Zola. They uploaded Arnim Zola into Ultron to take over him, and then he took over the body, and he wanted the Infinity Stones, but Killmonger wanted them, and they were locked together, and so they combined them into the spear for Strange to watch over.
Oh wow, interesting. So yeah, that's gonna be a whole thing. So yeah, on episodes, I feel like we talk about all of them after the fact. What say you? What do you want to do?
Yeah, that works. Just because they're going to be doing a daily drop, that just seems way easier.
Yeah, so it run from next Friday, which is the 22nd, to the Friday after that, the 29th. So we'll talk about it in our first week back on New Year's. So yeah, that's about it because I got to head out soon.
Okay.
But yeah, this was fun. This was a longer episode than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so starting next week, we have the penultimate episode of Monarch coming out. Percy Jackson's going to be starting up. So we're going to have some stuff to talk about heading into the new year and closing out 2023. We're going to talk about What If as well. So What If, Percy Jackson, Monarch reviews coming on My Cup of Tea.
And Echo not long after.
And I Echo not long after that. So we're going to be running full steam ahead into 2024 with a lot of TV reviews. I also want to talk about, for commentaries coming up tomorrow or Tuesday, we're going to be doing Aquaman, because Aquaman 2 comes out on Friday. And me and Nathan both have not watched it since 2018, right? Or at least for me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Even though I bought it. And my dad watched it, and I haven't touched the damn thing. And again, I loved it. I remember I loved it. They included all the IMAX shots, which was 90% of the movie, so I would hope so. So yeah.
So that's gonna be fun to dig into. And then let me see here. Yeah, I don't think we'll do a commentary the week of Christmas because again, I'll be a little bit busy. But when we get back, our first commentary of the new year is going to be our favorite movie of 2023. At least mine's favorite movie still. Across the Spider-Verse.
Right.
You know, I've been dying to rewatch that movie for the 20th time. So we'll do that. ringing into the new year with that fun commentary, because we have a lot of commentaries planned for the new year. A Kung Fu Panda trailer came out recently.
Yeah, we definitely have talked a lot about doing the trilogy because you haven't seen any of them,
and none of them.
I've only seen the first one.
So yeah, that'd be fun. So yeah, find me on Twitter, Harris EV9, talking all things Star Wars, anime, TV. I'm watching it all. If you guys are not watching this Netflix show called The Devil's Plan, it's fantastic. It came out around October, November, but it's a South Korean social strategy game. 12 episodes, an hour long each, and it's doing these mental intelligence tasks while also being in a house like Big Brother, and people get eliminated off of like these currency that they get via the game. So it's a very complex strategy game. I'm having so much fun with it. So good. So watch The Devil's Plan. My one recommendation for the episode. And watch out for Percy Jackson this Wednesday. But yeah, find me again, Harris EV9.
Find me on _TownBlazer. Make a show called Town Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Ben playing the best character in Time Blazer.
Yes, hoping to have a special look stream come New Year's, hopefully.
That'll be fun.
So that being said, hope you guys have a great day. Catch you guys next time.
Peace.